My name is Evelyn Carter, and the moment I let another man touch my hand in the back seat of my car, I knew my marriage was already dead, even though my husband was still sleeping in our bed that night. That's the part people don't understand. Betrayal doesn't begin in bedrooms. It begins in silence. My husband, Daniel, was the kind of man people trusted without thinking twice. Calm, disciplined, predictable in the safest way. He built his financial consulting firm from nothing, worked 12-hour days, and still came home asking how my day was. He believed loyalty was automatic, something you earned once and never had to check again. We'd been married 11 years. No screaming fights, no dramatic cracks, just distance. I told myself it was normal. Two professionals, busy lives. I handled client relations at his firm, emails, scheduling, payroll approvals. I had access. I was helping. That's what I told myself when I stayed late, scrolling instead of working, waiting for messages that weren't from my husband. That's when Mark entered my life, a private equity broker, confident, patient. He listened, or at least pretended to. He noticed when I felt invisible, and I noticed how easily I became someone else around him. At home, Daniel trusted me completely. Too completely. The first lie was small. The second was easier. By the third, I didn't recognize myself anymore. I didn't know the exact moment Daniel started suspecting me. That's the terrifying thing about intelligent men. They don't react emotionally. They observe. What I didn't know was that Daniel had noticed discrepancies in the firm's operating account. Small at first. 5 figures moved under vendor labels that didn't exist. Transfers approved under my login. He didn't confront me. He copied everything. Emails, access logs, timestamps, screenshots I never imagined he'd need. The night he followed me, I felt powerful and reckless. I told him I was visiting my sister. Instead, I parked behind a quiet restaurant where Mark waited. When his hand rested on my thigh, I felt chosen, desired, alive. The windows were fogged before I even realized my hands were shaking. Mark leaned in close enough that I could smell his cologne mixed with guilt. His fingers traced my wrist slowly, deliberately, like he already owned the moment. I should have pulled away. I should have thought about my husband's hands, steady and familiar, waiting for me at home. Instead, I let myself forget. His mouth brushed my ear, his voice low, telling me how invisible I'd been for too long, how much I deserved to be wanted. My pulse betrayed me before my conscience did. When his lips finally found my neck, I closed my eyes, not out of desire but surrender. This wasn't love. It was escape. My body responded even as my mind screamed to stop. The car rocked slightly, the world outside disappearing into darkness and breathless silence. I remember gripping the seat, staring at the dashboard clock, knowing every second was something I could never undo. When it was over, I didn't feel satisfied. I felt erased. I straightened my clothes, avoided his eyes, and walked back into the night, knowing I'd crossed a line my marriage would never survive. And somewhere nearby, the man who trusted me most was watching his life quietly collapse. What I didn't see was Daniel sitting 2 rows back in his car, watching his wife laugh the way she hadn't in years. Later that night, when I slipped back into our bed, Daniel didn't touch me. He didn't ask questions. He just whispered, "Did you have a good night?" I said yes. That was the moment I lost him forever, even though I didn't know it yet. Daniel never raised his voice. That's what made it worse. Over the next week, he stopped asking questions entirely. No arguments. No jealousy. Just distance, so controlled it felt surgical. What I didn't know was that he'd already hired a forensic accountant. He learned everything. Not just the affair, but the money. Mark hadn't chosen me randomly. He knew I had access. He'd guided me. Slowly. Subtly. Temporary reallocations. Short-term liquidity movements. He framed it as harmless. It totaled $640,000. Stolen from Daniel's firm. From our future. When Daniel finally confronted me, it wasn't with anger. It was with documents spread neatly across the dining table. "Tell me which part isn't true," he said. I couldn't speak. I watched the man I betrayed realize that his wife wasn't just unfaithful, she was dangerous. That night, he slept in the guest room. I didn't sleep at all. Daniel didn't scream. He didn't threaten. He planned. He filed quietly. Separation, asset protection, emergency injunction on joint accounts. His lawyer advised patience, and Daniel was very patient. He let me think I still had leverage. That Mark still had time. What I didn't realize was that Daniel had already contacted federal investigators, not to accuse me, but to report financial manipulation by an outside broker. Mark panicked. I watched him unravel in real time. His messages went from confident to desperate. He asked me to delete things, to lie, to stall. Daniel let it all happen. Every message became evidence. Every delay tightened the net. The firm's insurance covered the stolen funds after Mark was named the primary perpetrator. Daniel wasn't trying to destroy me. He was letting me destroy myself. The day Mark was arrested, Daniel didn't say a word to me. I saw it on the news. Fraud, wire manipulation, conspiracy. I wasn't charged, but I lost everything else. My job, my reputation, my marriage. Daniel's final act wasn't revenge. It was absence. He moved out without drama, filed for divorce without conversation, left me with silence so loud it rewrote my identity. The last thing he said to me was calm, almost kind. "You confused trust for weakness, and you'll live with that longer than any punishment I could have given you." That was the last day I ever had power over him, and I've never forgiven myself. Some betrayals don't end with screams. They end with quiet men who never look back.
If this story made you feel something, pain, anger, clarity, or strength, you're not alone. Stories like this are why Betrayal Nation exists. Please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and write a comment below. We read every single one, and your voice matters here. Your support truly helps this channel grow, so if you haven't already, subscribe and help us reach 1,000 subscribers. Together, we're building a place where real stories are heard, truth is exposed, and justice finds its voice. This is Betrayal Nation. Thank you for being part of it.